it like, Christian? Could you speak a bit more broadly about what is it actually like to be a Christian in Malaysia?
Oh, that's a tough question. In a sense, it's easy because being Christianity is not new here. Missionaries have come from since what 1400s over here. It's not new, but in a sense, it's also hard. It's getting harder actually, because the more we grow, you can feel that unease. That fear that comes from how come so many Christians. So there's this fear that actually comes from the state, where the authorities are just not happy that you are, proselytizing. They say, yeah. So, in a way, if you kept your faith to yourself, it's easy to become a Christian. But the moment you say, I want to stay faithful to the gospel, that's when the rubber hits the road, and you've got to really ask very serious questions, whether you want to keep quiet or you want to, really live out the early church way.
So for you to share your faith with someone in Malaysia, is that easy, or could you get in trouble for it?
Well, it depends. On legally, you cannot share with, let's say, a Malay, because under the law, a Malay is a Muslim, and you can't. So it's very clear cut. You can't reach out to the Muslims, but in a sense, you can talk to anybody about Jesus. But the main thing is that you cannot be so overt about it. It means you can't go and stand with a placard and say repent and be saved. You can't do that. But you can, as a friend, invite people to come for Alpha, come to your home, come to church, and still be able to share about Jesus. So there is quite a fair bit of freedom if you work within the boundaries.
So you were saying about being a Malay means being a Muslim. So say you were a Malay, nationality, and you became a Christian. What happens if you're upfront and go to the authorities and say, right, I've now become a Christian? What happens to you as a Malay citizen?
Technically, they will put you immediately into rehabilitation. You could you will definitely have to go for counseling. Why this happened, and they will try to draw you back. And if you don't, they can imprison you if you want to. There are a few states in Malaysia where they can actually uh, put you to death, but it has not been implemented. Because we have a federal government that controls the Islamic laws. While the law is there, they can't effect that. Other things that they can do to you is maybe sack you, close down your account, take your family from you. So it can be quite scary for a Malay to really step out to believe. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! But are Malays becoming Christians? So, in spite of all of this, is the church? Are people becoming Christians?
I think this is one of the exciting things, is that even we don't share the gospel with them. God has intervened, and it's like the story is like all over the Islamic countries. They have dreams and visions, and then they come asking, how come I see this? I'm quite sure that one is Jesus in my dream. So I think what we can do is be friends, and if they ask the question, we can answer, but we cannot go to them and tell them the gospel. You get what I mean? If they have that dream and they come to you and ask you more questions, yes, we can answer those questions. Why they saw Jesus? What does that mean? Yeah, they can. In fact, they can even own a Bible. It doesn't stop them from even coming to church. They can do all those things. Yeah.
So it's like there's just some levels of boundaries in place, and it's knowing. I guess it must be a challenge to know when God is actually calling you to break certain boundaries. Like when is God actually inviting me into a conversation that might be a bit more risky? And when am I actually supposed to just stay quiet and pray in the background? And I imagine it's feels like a bit of a tightrope at times.
Yes, I think it requires a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, for sure. Could you tell us, Christian, has there been a moment sort of maybe recently or in the last few years of working with 24/7 prayer, has there been a moment of breakthrough where you've seen God really break in and do something amazing in answer to the prayers that you've been praying?
Well, I think we are seeing a level of courage that we've not seen previously among the Malay people or the Muslim people, because they have Indian Muslims as well. Uh, and the call for them is that they don't want to stay underground. So they are really like asking God, how long? So it's beautiful to see that they are like pushing and saying, look, we want to come back, we want to come above the ground. And we have to really ask God, when can they come up and show themselves? So I call that potatoes growing underground. They're getting big. One day for sure they're going to pop up. So for me, it's like while we are praying, we can see more and more people, meeting more and more people. In fact, I'm in the middle of doing something where it's going to be big. Come 2025, we're preparing for the big one. So yeah, it's just, I think right now we are trying to strengthen those who have believed, and praying for leaders among them with the gifts, for teaching, the apostles, the prophets among them, and to give them courage. I think it's very hard, it's very tough. They go through a lot. And also to disciple them is not easy as well, because they come with different worldviews. There's a lot of work to be done just discipling, because it's easy to say, I believe. But when the rubber hits the road, they can just fall off because it's just too hard. So you have to walk alongside. And right now, even for ourselves, very few non-Malays want to do that, because we go to jail too. So I'm sure you've heard of Raymond Cole, the pastor Raymond Cole.
Yes.
The Hilmi, Joshua Hilmi, Ruth Jepu, they've disappeared. So, and there are a lot of Malay pastors who disappeared. Their names are not out there. So it's actually, you're really like, for want of a better analogy, salmon swimming upstream in this kind of scenario. But, God will do, I believe God will do something so big that it will be so out of control. The whole thing will just explode. And, the authorities, if they want to put all of us in jail, but they might have to put 5,000 people in jail. So go find the space.
Wow.